Currently on mute. And that is us, the opening poll of the third round of the stream schedule for the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships. My name is Blair Munro.
And I'm Becky Farr.
And we have for you today Old Boys Sports Club facing off against HMC Hustle. Becky, what are your thoughts for the game looking forward over the next hour and a half?
I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Originally from Christchurch, I know the HMC Hustle team quite well. I know their style of play and what they could pull out, but I'm unsure of what Old Boys will be doing. So it'll be really good to see a challenge for HMC to try and figure out how they work.
Absolutely, and so we see HMC Hustle come out with a zone defense, really looking to pressure space. Lots of good movement from the Old Boys Sports Club, but the question as to whether or not that reception by Jordan Tan was made before the disc made contact with the ground. So just a reminder, looks like they'll have accepted that the disc was down. It's a self-officiated sport, so players take it upon themselves to learn the rules and make calls and resolve them on the field. So now we see the Old Boys applying pressure on the defense. Adam Manang on a great reset, trying to find Becca Booth, but not able to get that one secured. Alice Logan, Cami Long, and Hamish Ford in a great position now.
Oh, huge D from Adam Manang as Old Boys try and work through that middle of the junk, trying to find the space, but not quite succeeding. See HMC setting up in a vertical stack.
So trying to create channels down the near and far sideline. Adam Manang with a harsh jab step to put Rutan off balance. Manages to thread one all the way through to Paige Hansen. Pressured on the far sideline now by Long. Gets one through to Becca Booth. Still very pinned down. The reset comes away. Tony Clark, captain for the Hustle. Threads through to the near sideline. It goes high. Snatched out of air by Jordan Tan. The original Air Jordan. Logan to Ford. Ing really doing great work, chipping through the middle of the Hustle defense. Manages to get the disc on the far sideline. Logan trying to get the disc off Ford, but it doesn't come away. Great swat attempt by the HMC defense, but it's not enough. Jordan Tan near sideline. Works back with Ing. High blade around to Ford. Jordan Tan chipping away through the middle of the zone. Tan working with Ing. The defense not in position. A low scuba to Rutan for the score. Old Boys going one up over HMC Hustle in the early points of the third round of our stream coverage here at beautiful Bob Dean's Field in sunny Christchurch. Now, Becky, you were saying that you've had a lot of experience playing in the sort of Christchurch Ultimate community, particularly with this HMC side. Their defense was quite intense. They did force a lot of passes for the Old Boys to make that score. But if you were to make some adjustments to that HMC defense, what would be the 2 or 3 key focuses you'd want them to think of?
It looked as if Old Boys was doing really well with those overhead, just popping through the middles, which HMC seemed to not be able to contain. Personally, I feel like there's not much, there's a slight breeze, but usually a junk is pulled out when there is quite a strong wind in order, so the junk is working to contain the disc in a space where it would be really hard to get the disc over over the cup of the junk. But since there's not much wind here today, I would kind of focus more on a match defense and try and apply a lot more pressure in tight match.
Okay, so we will see whether or not that the absence of wood is going to play a role into the Old Boys defense.
Looks like the pull is just out of the field and has been bricked, which means it will come into play in the middle of the field, just in front of the end zone line.
And so there's no positional advantage conferred by forcing the disc to be taken in from the sideline by pulling out of bounds. O'Hara with the disc for hustle. Huge bid by Love Parada. Not only the block, but securing the disc in hands. On the far sideline. Pinned down by India Hansen. The stall count getting high, but manages to fire one through. Francis Kim, number 39 for the Old Boys with the score, taking them to a 2-point lead. Huge play from number 7, Louis Love Parada. A great run through block. Hopefully we'll get to see that again. Just enough separation there for Francis Kim to secure the point for the Old Boys, widening up the lead just ever so slightly. Grayson Lee with the disc for the Old Boys to pull to start off the 3rd point of the game. Nice and high with a little bit of outside edge. Touching in just inbounds right in front of the end zone. Adam Chung and O'Hara. Massive backhand fake, switches to the forehand, puts one deep. Great work for Michelle Martin for the score. 2-1, still in favor of the Old Boys, but that quick clinical offense from the HMC Hustle able to put them a point on the board comfortably. And now we'll see whether or not their defense changes from that original zone that the Old Boys were not having too much trouble going over the top of. And we'll see if they, as you said, Becky, if they look to isolate those individual matchups to really pressure the players themselves into making errors that they can capitalize on. So being mixed ultimate, we have female matching and male matching players taking the field. A recent change in rules has meant that the majority match changes every 2 points. And the gender pulling, so the gender that represents the majority on the field, they are the ones responsible for the initial pull for each point. We are seeing HMC come down with that zone again. We've got Rory Hammond, Jordan Tan, working the disc. Goes wide, finds Alice Logan. Long, hanging out as a reset option.
Looks like HMC have done really well to identify that Old Boys was working quite in the middle of the zone, so they have adjusted to put a player there. As we speak, the big high foot goes up, brought down by Eunice.
Yeah, so Eunice Ng for another score for the Old Boys. Really great work there by the Old Boys. They had Ella Lamb on that near sideline, pressuring an upline cut, pulling the defense a little bit closer, which really opened up enough space to float a great forehand. We'll get to see that again. Logan pulls down That great cut by Alalam pulls the deep defender out of position, leaving Ing wide open for a score. Great work there by the Old Boys. So Old Boys currently up by 2. 3 against the HMC Hustles 1.
So it looks like another female matching line.
Stephanie Shen with the pull. Great work touching in just in bounds right by the sideline. Does give them a lot of good opportunity, but Hustle were quick to recenter the disc. La Parada on the mark. O'Hara's able to get it away. Finds Martin.
A pick called. So a pick is when a player in the downfield makes a cut, or anywhere on the field makes a cut, and their defender feels like they got obstructed by another player, meaning that they weren't able to keep up with their match. So it looks like Callum Turner made a cut, and number 60, who
Strauch.
is yeah,
Fabian Strauch.
got picked.
And so, because the pick occurred before the throw, the disc's going to go back. But now we have O'Hara far sideline with a big outside in forehand. Fabian Strauch comes down with the disc. Quickly recenters the disc.
Oh, and a huge bid by Callum Turner to cause the fumble and a turnover, meaning HMC back on offense.
And another pick called. Tensions running high in the early stages of this game. Players not playing maybe as clean as they would like to. This is the third game of the day. For a lot of teams at this tournament, early fatigue is starting to set in. O'Hara, far sideline. The reset comes away. O'Hara manages to keep that aligned. A real clutch player for the Hustle side. Adam Chung with the disc now. Callum Turner again, far sideline. Having to work hard against the Old Boys defense. Leilani Smith puts one through. A little bit of miscommunication means the disc goes to ground, and that is going to be a turnover, giving possession back to Old Boys. Great undercut by Stephanie Shen. Helps to move the disc away from the defensive end zone. Hahoff supported by Kim in the upfield space. Georgiou with the disc on the far sideline now. Wants to put one up line for Hahoff, but it's not going to work, so it goes through Francis Kim to Louis La Parada. Stephanie Shen puts a high backhand up. Adam Chung's the one underneath it. Possession going back to HMC Hustle. O'Hara near sideline. Adam Chung works to Callum Turner. Unmarked by Francis Kim at the moment, able to thread one straight past to find Michelle Martin. Turner and Chung, but a pick has been called. So just some early calls in the game, but as Ultimate is a self-officiated sport, particularly at this competitive level, players are doing a great job in making those calls and resolving them as amicably and smoothly as possible. O'Hara, big shooter for the Hustle side. A restrained high release flick to find Chung in the center field. Strauch on defense. Great handler isolation here between O'Hara and Chung, just moving the disc back between themselves, waiting for something to develop in the downfield space. Great touch by Juvju, but it looks like a call has been made on the play.
So it looks as though Juju almost kind of piggybacked India Hansen a bit there, causing her to drop the disc. They are talking through it, each expressing their opinions on the call.
Hansen making the argument that she felt contact on the back of her hand, and that was what contributed to the drop. And so the hand signal is given to show that players are accepting those calls. So HMC Hustle will retain possession. So because it was an uncontested or an accepted foul, it's as though the contact never happened, and Hansen is considered to have caught the disc. So the check is made, play can resume. O'Hara getting good separation from Kim to be a safe reset option for his teammate. Martin puts a cannon up. Shelby Harhoff with a huge block. Just great positioning off the back of the offender's right shoulder. Hard chase against Megan Ladder, but was able to get enough of a touch. Kim puts one up, but Chung gets a hand to it, and Turner secures. Position goes back the other way. Hustle with the disc. O'Hara got the separation from Kim. One hand keeps it just off the grass. A laser beam through straight into the hands of Julia Ford. Shen back to Harhoff. Strauch against Chung. The reset comes off the hands of Harhoff. A great opportunity here for HMC Hustle. Just on the doorstep of a score to bring it back to a 1-point game. O'Hara hoping to put stats on the board. Can't get the break, but he threads one through. Strauch gets a touch, but Turner comes down with it anyway. Great work by HMC Hustle. Great heads-up offense, recognizing you might not be the key player. You might not be the intended receiver, but just keep a heads up, especially when the defensive pressure is being poured on like it is by the old boys. You never know when you need someone in the back pocket to be able to pop out of nowhere and secure a point. Big pull from the Hustle to reinitiate play. Long far side line. Air Jordan's got it.
Looks like HMC coming down in another junk defense.
Logan trying to pressure the cups, not quite enough. Ford gets it. Far sideline. Tan testing the deep defense of the HMC side. Rory Hammond, quick movement, manages to find Long to Tan. Long looks back to Hammond to find Tan right on the doorstep.
Yeah, as I said before, it looks like Old Boys is doing really well in finding those little gaps between the HMC junk and really utilising that with the give-go movements.
Lamb with a laser beam tries to put it through, but it's not going to come away. Alan Sanders with the block. McFarlane with the disc marked by Ford, manages to get a reset away on the up line. Big shot going up, looking for Paige Hansen. Gets it down over Ella Lamb despite great defensive pressure. McFarlane again. Huge play. Tony Clark, number 10 for HMC Hustle, takes to the skies to tie up the game. Hopefully we get to see that again. Huge play there. The laser beam through the center. The block by Sanders. The big shot up for Hansen. Low edge gets up. Clark over Hammond for the score to tie up the game, 3-all. And now 2 back-to-back breaks for HMC Hustle. Their defense really is firing. They are pressuring the Old Boys Sports Club based out of Auckland. Great pull by the Hustle, fielded early by Hammond. Jordan Tan with the disc, fires a long shot up, looking for Ing. Plenty of time. Ford looking to step past Clark, but he's getting pinned down. It's not an option. Has to reset to Tan, supported by Hammond. It goes up. And that is Hamish Ford with the score for the Old Boys. That point definitely, and this entire game, Old Boys wish to dedicate to Hamish and Julia's grandfather. That one was for you, Granddad. Hamish getting big, wants to pull that one down, wants to do it for his team. What a beautiful finish to that point as Old Boys go 4-3 up over HMC Hustle. Jessup with the pull. O'Hara doing the most, supported by Muldrew as Old Boys Sports Club throw down a zone. The high forehand to the far sideline. Fabian Strauch gets the block. Early reset goes awry. Callum Turner gets it. The pendulum of ultimate swings both ways. The momentum quickly back in the other direction. Muldrew threads one through to Wood. To O'Hara right in the zone. An opportunity here for HMC Hustle to tie up the game. The reset by Muldrew shut down. Wood comes in to help. Martin unpressured on the disc. O'Hara's got it very close to the zone. That's the one, that's the score. Ladder puts one on the board. Number 65 for the HMC Hustle. Some really great work by the Hustle there. An early errant throw with a lot of edge. The wind caught underneath it. A comfortable interception by Fabi Strauch for the Old Boys. But the reset went awry, touch to Callum Turner, sprinting through for a comfortable block, and then slow, patient, chipping the disc up the field towards the end zone for a very, very smooth score for the Hustle. Hustle to start us off for the next point. Low pull with a little bit of edge. Going to touch down and roll just slightly. Tan to pick up and initiate. Supported on the near sideline by Hammond. Long on the far sideline. Works one through to Ing. Quick reset to Long. There's an option there. Shifts the mark. Decides to go back center field. Hammond to Tan. Big ups. Long on the near sideline. A laser through to Tan. Back to Hammond, not afraid to lose yards, to keep momentum. Forward far sideline, just outside. Air Jordan comes down with it. Great work by the Old Boys to put another one on the board. And as we get to watch that again, we'll see Jordan Tan's pace just so big that it looked like he was unmarked for that final pass. The defense was really nowhere in sight, not able to make a play. A really clean point for the Old Boys offense.
Yeah, Old Boys has been doing a really, really good job of that quick, fast give-go movements, which kind of means that the HMC defense can't really set up their defense, which is awesome for Old Boys. It means that that flow continues, giving them those really easy scores.
And that is one of the tough parts about a really strong zone structure, which we're seeing HMC Hustle really try and pour down against the Old Boys, because you're committing a lot of players up around the front of the disc, 2, 3, sometimes even 4, to try and create a wall that the offense have to go over or around. Once you've chipped through and that defense is out of position, all of a sudden you've got 7 offensive players only really being effectively marked by 3 or 4 defenders. And so it creates a lot of opportunities, open players to pass through, to really string through some connections. So Michael Jessup with the pull for the Old Boys. Rory Hammond first down to try and shut everything down. Francis Kim on the mark now. Manages to chip through to find Caitlin Wood near sideline. Back to Wood. Smith with the disc to Muldrew. Hammond gets a touch, but Wood keeps it alive. Great patience, using the width of the field, having to work backwards and forwards. Adam Chung gets Michael Jessup slightly out of position, but the rest of the team applying a huge amount of defensive pressure. It goes Wood to Smith. Wood has to dive to keep it in hands, otherwise Jessup would have eaten that one up. Just over the outstretched arms of Leilani Smith with a score opportunity, but the possession will go back to Old Boys. A long field ahead of them as they work back downfield. Hammond blazing up line on a cut, trying to get the disc, but Muldrew with a touch. Hammond trying to get the read, but his first point of contact after securing the disc was out of bounds, and so possession does go back to HMC. Morgan O'Hara a little pinned down. Hammond shuts down the reset. O'Hara goes around the front, but it's Grayson Lee who manages to eat that one up. Michael Jessup has the disc. Rory Hammond on a nice undercut. Muldrew a little bit laggy on the defense, but it's just enough. Sarah Jessup, Francis Kim, back to Rory Hammond. Muldrew very agile on the mark, able to shut down a lot of those options, has to go to the far sideline. Grayson Lee. Pressured by Noah Vala. Shelby Harhoffs threads one straight through the middle, but O'Hara comes down with it. Muldrew, O'Hara near sideline, unmarked. Caitlin Wood trying to find space, but got shut down by Jessup, had to move back into the handle space to get the disc, puts a forehand up far sideline, finding Mike Muldrew, marked by Lee. Goes around, finds Chung center field, high and around. Vala again. Signals for fake, gets something moving, finds Muldrew as a reset, works back to far sideline. Chung marked by Kim, threads one up the front of the end zone for the score. Looks like Lada again. Hustle tie up the game, 5-5 in the third round of our stream coverage for the Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here at Bob Deans Field in sunny Christchurch. My name is Blim and I'm here with Becky Farr to be your eyes and ears on the ground. We are proudly supported by the team at ULTI.TV. If you like what you see and you want to help us bring the very best in Ultimate to your screens and to your fields, head on over to patreon.com/ULTI.TV. It's not like you're using your money.
I'm gonna run it.
Hustle to come out on defense. Captain Tony Clark with the disc for the pull. Nice high pull right out over the far sideline. Touches down with a little bit of edge. Forward to Tan. We're going to see HMC stick to a match defense this time, looking to isolate those individual players as the wind. Looks like a pick was called. Possibly before the throw. And so if the pick occurs before the throw, the discers get sent back just because if the defender had been in a better position or a more accurate position to where they feel they should have been, the throw might have been discouraged by that defensive pressure. But Alice Logan puts a big forehand up the far sideline for Rory Hammond for the score. What a huge play. So quick after the call. As soon as the call is resolved, 1, 2 quick passes. Rory Hammond reels it in. Great work there by Mr. Hammond, the nice guy of New Zealand Ultimate. Loved by all and feared by everyone as well. A huge threat on defense and in the deep space on offense. Old Boys now 2 points away from taking half-time. But still anybody's game, only 1 point in it. We saw Old Boys take an early lead. Hustle have really turned the fire up for the second series of points. Trading back and forth, keeping the game within one. This is exactly the kind of ultimate that we wanted to see today in this tournament. Old Boys to come out on defense. Stephanie Shen with the pull, sends a nice low drive down the far sideline. Once again, O'Hara working with Muldrew to initiate. Caitlin Wood is a reset option. Has to go wide to get around the defensive poaching of Grayson Lee. Muldrew working with Hansen and Martin in the upfield space. Hannah Au pushing on the mark. Giorgio now. Great work on that defense. A nice forehand floated out into space, but none of the Hustle receivers were in a position to get to it. Forward with a thread through to lead. Strauch on the near sideline, but a pick was called. So again, prioritizing the game being a non-contact sport, making sure that when we pick our lines, a violation's been called. So before the disc was made live, it looked like some movement had happened. Strauch marked by O'Hara. Resets to Lee. Shen near sideline. Love Parada wanted it, but Giorgio gets it right on the doorstep. Goes high. High stall count, high release. Grayson Lee with a laser of a flat hammer finds Stephanie Shen open in the end zone for the score. Old Boys widen up the margin just a fraction, take them within 1 point of half. Giorgio with a nice high release backhand, plenty of space. Muldrew not able to get to it. And the laser beam of a hammer fired through for Stephanie Shen for the score. 7-5, currently in favor of Old Boys, but still anybody's game. A timeout called. And so 1 point away from half. Becky, what do you think the teams are going to be talking about in this timeout?
It's a great question that I do not know the answer to.
Well, if you were Old Boys and you were 1 point away from scoring half, widening up that margin to 3 points and then taking that break, would you be using your standard offensive defensive lines? Would you be looking to call 7 specific players that you know are going to have the most impact on a clutch point like this? If you're the Hustle side, you're coming out on offense, you're going to be wanting absolute security, right? You can't afford to have any turns unless you want to give up the half time to Old Boys.
Yeah, I think Old Boys look like they're really trying to maintain that focus, and it's very often in these high-pressure situations easy to muck up and get too high intensity and too stressed in those situations. So it looks like they're really aiming to maybe keep their focus and drill this last point before half in.
Absolutely, and we will see which team comes out over this next point when we are back with you very shortly.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
And so we are back for what could be the last point before half-time in the third round of our stream coverage for the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here at Bob Deans Field in Hagley Park in sunny Christchurch between Old Boys Sports Club from Auckland and HMC Hustle from Canterbury. We've just come back from a timeout. Teams making last-minute adjustments just before this point. We're going to see, hopefully, perfect offensive execution from the HMC line. They can't afford to make any errors unless they are willing to give up the first half to Old Boys. Old Boys, on the other hand, going to be pouring down as much defensive pressure as they can bring together. We are proudly brought to you by ULTI.TV, best crew in all the world. And I'm not just saying that because they might be providing me with lunch today. It's an absolute pleasure to be working with them yet again. We brought you Division 2 Mixed Ultimate Championships. We brought you the Under-20 Trans-Tasman Series earlier on this year. And the Tertiary Ultimate Champs even earlier than that. Jessup with the pull, keeps it low. It's going to touch down. Skim to a stop just inside the offensive half for the Old Boys. O'Hara supported by Wood. Finds reset far side, India Hansen. Love Parada really trying to pressure that reset.
Unfortunate drop by HMC, meaning that Old Boys will now be on offense with a chance to score the last point.
Absolutely.
To take half.
So after that forehand attempt by Hansen, curves a little bit earlier. Wood's not able to get a hand to it. Jessup initiated. Fabi Strauch to Hannah Au. Goes wide, finds a hole, able to get it to Hammond. Back to Strauch. Huge grab by Rory Hammond over Mike Muldrew. A great read on that disc by Muldrew to get into position. Fingertips just outstretched, only just missed the block there. Hammond reaches out, plucks it out of the sky. We're going to get to see that again. There's a huge window at Strauch's right shoulder. He finds it. Muldrew tries to go for it, but Hammond comes down with it for the point and for the first half of the game that the Old Boys are dedicating to the grandfather of Hamish and Julia Ford. My name is Blair Munro.
And I'm Becky Farr.
And we are the eyes and ears on the ground here to take you through the exciting action for the Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships. Brought to you by ULTI.TV. We will be back with you for the second half very shortly. And we are back for the second half of this exciting third game in our stream coverage between HMC Hustle and Old Boys Sports Club. Old Boys Sports Club just having taken half, but they will be coming out on defense for this point. Currently a 3-point lead, but anybody's game. We've seen some really impressive clutch plays by HMC Hustle so far. Old Boys really need to keep that pressure on if they want to maintain their lead. My name is Blair Monroe, proudly supported by Auckland Euphoria. I'm joined in the booth by Becky Farr to talk you through this very exciting match. Huge pull there. O'Hara, Muldrew, and Wood really working hard to keep the disc moving. And a call's been made. Looks like another pick. So again, when a player's pursuit of their offensive counterpart is impeded by the movement or positioning of another player, they can signal that a pick has been called, and then they're given the opportunity to make up a position on the field where they feel they would have reasonably been had the pick not occurred. Okay, so it looks like there may have been a bit of miscommunication as to what the gender match majority on the field should be. So HMC look to have fielded 4 female matching players, where Old Boys have fielded 4 male matching players. So Ladder will take a substitution for Turner, and then we will have the opportunity to resume play. And the wind is starting to pick up a little bit. It's inconsistent. It feels a little bit more like it's coming from the top-hand side of the screen towards the bottom, so a bit of a cross breeze for these players. Not hugely consistent at the moment, so again, the players that sort of recognize the changing conditions of the wind are the ones that are going to have the advantage here. O'Hara goes far side to Martin, right in front of their end zone, marked by Jessup. Finds Wood, marked by Hahoff, but she's able to get a forehand up. Muldrew marked by Love Parada. O'Hara on a great cut out the front of Fabi Strauch. Chips one over to Muldrew. Some great offense on display here by the Hustle. Works back to O'Hara. Martin, plenty of separation. Jessup can't get a hand to it. Muldrew again. Love Parada trying to hang off and stop the continuation, but it goes up anyway. A little bit too fast for Lee, for the Old Boys to react to. So Old Boys, an opportunity to work back the other way. Hahoff forward, Strauch in the upfield space. Jessup has an option wide. Turner and Smith starting up the zone. Jessup near sideline. Tries to make a family connection, isn't able to do it. O'Hara gets the disc, marked by Strauch, but Martin gets it near sideline. O'Hara gets the disc on the reset. Too much traffic. Nothing developing in the downfield space. So a pick has been called. So the reset to Muldrew comes away. Caitlin Wood, far sideline, marked by Jessup. Muldrew in great possession, but he probably would have had to leave his feet to keep that one in hand. Forward with the disc, goes up and over, finds Strauch. Not a lot of pressure on him at the moment. Looks back to Hahoff to Lee. A little chippy hammer over the top to Ford with a laser beam down the far sideline to Jessup. Strauch doesn't get the separation that he needs to be a viable option. Ford looks back to Lee. Hahoff's on the near sideline as an option. Pressured by Smith. Too much traffic again, has to go to Ford. Threads through to Love Parada.
Old Boy's doing a really good job of being patient with the disc and using the width of the field to keep it swinging until they're able to find those little gaps down the center of the field.
Great blade by Ford to Jessup. And an option for Love Parada. That is the score. Old Boys take their first point out of half. A great defensive break for them to widen up the scoreline and take them one step closer to the end of the game. Great patience on that throw by Jessup. A nice high blade. Gives them the disc on the near sideline. Hesitates on the first one. Takes that second option. Looks at Muldrew. He's a little bit out of position. He's not going to be able to make a play. Floats a nice outside in forehand all the way up that line for a wide open Love Parada for the score. HMC Hustle currently down by 4, but far from out of this game. Still contesting every point, every option, every throw. Rory Hammond with the disc to pull for the Old Boys. Huge high pull from Hammond. Starts to accelerate towards the ground. Manang to Clark near sideline, marked by Rutan. Very agile, very aggressive, but he's able to get around to find Manang center field, marked by Tan again. Becker Booth far sideline, Herbison. Forehand to McFarlane. A little wobbly, but he keeps it in possession. Manang had the separation, but Air Jordan had the height. He sends one long, looking for Ford. Tony Clark with the boosters on. An injury is called, looks like that play on the disc. We'll see that one again. Tan puts that one. You can see the closing speed from Clark. And the play that he made, he must have landed a little bit funny. So an unfortunate consequence, but he's at least able to walk off the field, which is key. Well, it looks like he might not even be taking off the field. Ready to give everything and put the defense, put the pressure back on.
A foul has been called.
So that contact between Clark and Ford may have impacted Ford's ability to play the disc. And so they'll have a conversation as to what the ideal outcome, or the outcome as per the rules would be. So we see Tan take that one again. Big forehand up. Okay, looks like Clark may have been in front, but that might have had an impact on Ford's ability to keep his pace. It looked like there may have been a little bit of a tickle that led to a tumble. And so players have sought perspective.
And the foul has been retracted.
Foul has been retracted, so the turnover will stand. Great play by Tony Clark for the HMC Hustle. And just, again, amazing closing speed. Getting to see that on the replay. Everybody else was moving in slow motion, and it didn't look like he was. So Hustle with a long field ahead of them, but plenty of skill and fitness to help them secure the point. Manang, very agile, nimble player. Great at being a reset handler, making himself available. Gets a bid from Jordan Tan. Puts a long shot up, but forward comes down with it. Tan and Hammond to initiate. Old Boys playing out of a vertical stack. Rutan, arguably one of the best cutters in the as a male matchup player. Huge separation from McFarlane on the under. Manages to reset to find Ing with a beautiful break throw around to Tan. Hammond winds up the hammer, holsters it. Sees that Ford's going for it. A great layout grab to keep that one in position for the Old Boys. Tan wants to make himself available as a reset. Rutan to Jordan Tan. Ella Lamb works back with Jordan Tan. The defense slowly pushing the Old Boys a little bit further away. A great play by Logan to keep that one in hand. Rutan's got it. Big hammer up. Off the fingertips of Ella Lamb. Bit of a heartbreak there for the Old Boys. And now they're playing defense.
Looks like the wind just pushed that disc down just a little bit so that Ella did not have a bid on it. She had a bid, didn't quite execute it.
Tran shutting down Manang on the up line. So we go big, but Rutan comes down with it. Great throw by Tony Clark, but McFarlane wasn't in the best position to receive that one. Simultaneous grab, but it looks like Clark's going to walk away with it in the end. Manang with the disc, signaling for an upline cut from McFarlane, but it doesn't come. Has to reset around to Becca Booth. Herbesan with a left-handed backhand. Paige Hansen back to Manang.
Timeout has been called, I believe.
Yeah, looks like a timeout has been called by HMC Hustle. So just recognizing that maybe nothing is happening in a structured way for the HMC Hustle in the end zone. And so this will give them an opportunity to stop play, to come back out, to reset their offensive structure, and then have play resume. So just thinking that things might be a little bit scrambly in that zone. Players maybe cutting each other off, getting in each other's way. Nothing really developing as a good option for Manang to try and close this point out. So he makes the call to have a timeout, and we will be back with you shortly.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
And we are back after the half-time called by the HMC Hustle right on the doorstep, hoping to put another point on the board, bring it back to a 3-point game. So the same 7 players will take the field. The Hustle will have an opportunity to set up their offense first, and then the defense have an opportunity to respond by setting their own defensive structure. A vertical stack to create 2 channels on the near and far sideline. My guess is isolating Tony Clark, hoping he'll have the winning the matchup against Rory Hammond. And Manang not able to get the disc away in time, so that self-officiated stall count. It's like a shot clock in basketball. Jordan Tan had Manang with the disc in hand for 10 seconds, and that's going to be a turnover. Rutan to clean up. Huge jump from Clark in the midfield to try and shut down any long options. Ella Lamb. Manang with a touch, it comes back up. The question is whether or not Ford was able to secure the disc inbounds. I've talked about it often before. The World Flying Disc Federation really need to introduce a rule of cool. If a play looks good, the opposition should just let you have it.
I agree. I think that should definitely
Every team should get 1 per game, right? We're just like, you could lay out at the back of the end zone for a score, but if it looks good, you're like, you know what, for this one,
you can have it.
Exactly, right? Players get 2 timeouts a half. They should get 1 awesome play per game. Okay, so it looks like the call is that the disc was in, or rather, Ford's first point of contact with the ground after securing control of the disc was inbound, so he will retain possession, marked by McFarlane. Jordan Tan gets the reset, goes wide to Ng. Rutan with a lot of separation, but Becca Booth hanging out in that space, able to shut down the look. Tan marked by Clark. Goes back across, goes wide to Ng in front of the end zone, and pulls that one down. A great score by the Old Boys to hit double digits. 10-5 over the Hustle in this game to 15. Great vision by the female matching players there for the Old Boys. Finding an opportunity, trusting the player, sending the shot up. The Old Boys to come out on defense again, hoping to generate a break. Au, Strauch, Giorgio, Shen, Lee. Facing down the indefatigable HMC Hustle. Nice low pull. Gets a little bit of assistance from the wind. Carries deep. Muldrew with the disc. Marked by Lee. Hansen goes up line to find Muldrew. Outside of Martin's reach. Possession going back to Old Boys. Strauch with the disc. early, threads one up through the middle to Al. Quick dish pass across to Ford. Puts a huge backhand up looking for Love Parada, but Muldrew's underneath it. And Parada not able to get to it in time, despite being right underneath the touch on the disc. Looks like an injury has been called. Shin for Jessup. And so play now live. Muldrew and O'Hara, the two cornerstone handlers for the Hustle offensive side. Caitlin Wood streaking deep. Has to go to a reset to Muldrew. To Martin, marked by Ford. Huge pressure on Adam Chung, but it's not enough. Grayson Lee wants to tighten up. Can't stop the disc getting away to Muldrew. Parada overcommits, creates a wide channel up the middle, but it's not capitalized on. Chung goes far sideline. Huge layout bid by Love Parada, but it looks like there's going to be a call on that play.
Muldrew calling an injury. Looks as though maybe the contact was a bit much, or he came down quite hard on his head, or back, maybe it looks like.
So we'll get a chance to see that again.
Clark to come on in place of Muldrew.
And so that might just be an injury call rather than a foul. So it looks like a clean bid, but the layout was what did the damage. So Old Boys will take possession. We're going to have Julia Ford to pick up the disc. Old Boys really pushing to the back of the end zone to create as much space as possible to try and isolate Grayson Lee. Puts something up, and Strauch comes down with it. Great score by the Old Boys, going 11-5 over the Hustle. Great patience in that end zone offense. That really is something that the Old Boys are incredibly well. Oh.
Looks like there'd been a call. Maybe regarding whether it was in or out, or if he maintained, or if he had control of the spinning disc before he carried himself out. Looks like it's been retracted, which means the point will stand.
So the point will stand. Old Boys 11 over the HMC Hustle 5. Really good patience from the Auckland side. Very, very good control and focus. And despite the amazing intensity and grit that we are seeing from the Hustle side, while they are slowing down the Old Boys offense, they are not currently able to stop it. And that is the key thing that they're going to need to find out how to do if they want to keep themselves in this game. Old Boys 4 points away from the 15 necessary to secure a win in the 71st minute. Game to 100 minutes or 15 points. Hannah Owl with the disc for the Old Boys, giving the signal for readiness. Ladder, Wood, Smith. O'Hara. Chung and Martin for Hustle. We are seeing the Old Boys recognize the changing conditions for the wind, applying a zone pressure. But it doesn't stop HMC Hustle going over the top to find Smith. Lata. Back to Smith. O'Hara is an option. Doesn't need it. Tries for the far sideline, but Hannah Au shuts that one down. A laser beam crossfield to Hammond, unmarked by the HMC defense. Jessup with the cannon, looking for Lee in the deep space. Walks it down. Great score by Old Boys. Turner in a great position to maybe make a play for the disc, but it took him a little bit longer than he might have liked to figure out where exactly the disc was floating. And by the time he'd tracked it down, it was a little bit too late. Grayson Lee, with a lot of separation, able to just walk that one down. So the wind starting to have a bit of an impact now. It's quite gusty still from the top side of your screen towards the bottom.
Yeah, as that wind starts to change, it's going to be really interesting to see how the two teams start to adjust both their offense and defense to the wind. I'm assuming a few more zones or junks will be pulled out in order to try and stop any passes going over the top.
Great pull by the Old Boys, giving them plenty of opportunity to slow down the passes. Clark's not able to keep that one off the turf. Puts a big shot up.
Great pressure from Hansen there just to tap it out the hands of 99 Eunice.
This is what the Hustle need. Currently down by 7. Hansen on a great undercut, marked out by Eunice Ng.
Leach looking as though he wants that big long shot, trying to use the wind maybe, but can't seem to find it. Centers to Clark, finding Page to Booth. HMC doing really well to work it down this close sideline.
Low with the desk. Manages to get around the outstretched arms of Jordan Tan. Threads one through. Leach not able to secure it. Tan and forward in the upfield handler space. Old Boys playing out of a vertical stack. Tan manages to get one across to forward. Straight through to Rutan. Jordan Tan just inside, his momentum carrying him right to the very edge. Eunice on the doorstep. So close to a score. Tan tries to hit up line, manages it out the front of Low for the score. Old Boys go to 13 over the HMC Hustles 5. We get to see that again. Eunice with a crossfield fake to really bring the mark around to her left side, opening up that nice forehand up line for Jordan Tan in the end zone. Wind coming in, gusty and cold. Players keeping moving to make sure they stay warm on the field and on the sidelines. Still everything to give in this game. Grayson Lee with the hand up for the pull. Sees the response from the HMC hustle. Let's a huge rip up high with a lot of float underneath it. Plenty of opportunity for the Old Boys defense to get into position. It touches down just in bounds. Jessup able to shut down the first couple of passes, but Vala and O'Hara working the desk back and forth. Has to go wide. Finds Muldrew. Back to O'Hara. Old Boys sticking to a match defense. O'Hara puts the big forehand up. It's got a little bit of edge. Martin wants to get underneath it. Cold drop just outside of the end zone. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you have so much time to think about catching a disc that you get in your own way a little bit. Absolutely. Strauch has the disc. Takes his time with the reset, finds Sarah Jessup. Quick pop pass back to Grayson Lee with a huge rip. Jessup's going long, he's got the position, but O'Hara comes down with it. Takes his time to just the front of the end zone. Vala's got it near sideline, unmarked. Hansen takes up the lane, hoping for some quick give and go, but Vala doesn't want it. Has to go back to Muldrew and back around. Muldrew near sideline now. Engaged on the reset to find O'Hara, keeping the stall count low. O'Hara, who's done so much work for this HMC team. Martin wants to get it back. Vala has the disc, puts a laser beam up, looking for Turner, pulls it down. What a grab, what a score. Hustle go up to 6 against the Old Boys 13. Hansen with a huge pull for the hustle defense.
HMC coming out in a zone.
Chips one around to Ella Lamb. Looks back for Ford. Long on the wide side, far side. Straight through the middle to find Alice Logan. Here Jordan. Pressured by Booth, puts a scuba over the top to Ella Lamb. Rutan, so much separation. Lamb gets closed off by Sanders. Not an option for the score. Logan with the disc finds Ford. Center field in the red zone. Jordan Tan back to Ford. Goes around the defense. Lamb on the far sideline. Puts one through to Long outside the outstretched hands of Tony Clark. Tan's got it. Wants to close it out. Can't do it. The zone resets its position. Long straight through to Tan. Just outside the end zone. Threads one through for a toe in by Logan. Not called in. Has to work back. Finds Jordan Tan. Marked by Tony Clark. Laser beam for a static long right in the front corner, completely untouched by the hustle defense, taking Old Boys within one of the victory. So much patience on display by the Old Boys, really taking their time, trying to chip away a meter at a time, a half meter at a time, 10 centimeters at a time, having to work back, having to regain that ground. Great pressure from the hustle defense, but in the end it was not enough. Old Boys able to stretch it a little bit too thin, and when it got stretched too thin, that's where the holes appeared, and Cami Long right at the front of the end zone for a nice score to take Old Boys within one of the victory. This is the last point the Old Boys want to play. Hustle. They want to exhibit perfect offense here. Steph Shen again. Great pull, lot of float for the Old Boys defense. We are going to see a bit of a zone defense. Transitioning to a man, just waiting for Mike Muldrow on an upline cut. Gets away from Grayson Lee. Works back with O'Hara. Marked by Fabian Strauch. Gets the reset to Chung. Love Parada wanted to get a bite on it, but cleverly pulled out. Didn't want to overcommit. O'Hara to Chung again. Big shot up. Great work by the hustle. A huge bid by Shen. Not quite in position to get a hand on it. We'll get to see that again. To Chung, plenty of separation. Shen nearly had a bid on it. But it's Lada who comes down with the disc, and the point for the HMC Hustle, who now have to play the most intense defense that we will have seen this entire tournament so far if they want to walk away with the win. 8 back-to-back breaks are necessary right now. Old Boys only have to get one more point. That same patient, clinical offense that we've seen from them already could be what it takes to get them the W. Huge pull by Hustle, fielded by Jordan Tan. We are going to see another zone defense really trying to put on the pressure. Rory Hammond to Eunice Ng on the near sideline. Back to Hammond, the zone, a little bit out of position. Back to Long, supported by Ford as an option. Doesn't need, goes through, finds Tan. Root Tan, Eunice Ng. Cami Long, very close to the end zone, puts a big hammer up.
Big
Great.
by Harrison Leach to bring that down. This is exactly what HMC are going to be wanting. That intense defense really paying off, giving them another opportunity to get a point on the board. Leach really going to work here.
Hammond aggressive on the mark. Low with the disc, marked by Rutan.
Calling for a long shot, but not quite coming.
McFarlane with the disc on the near sideline. Chips one through to Louis. Great shadow defense, clean with no contact, but the position of Ford enough to cause a drop. Goes for a wide swing to Ford. Wide to Rutan, far sideline. A lot of players back behind the disc to keep it moving around the defensive zone by the hustle. Hammond signals for the hammer, but this isn't the condition for it. Ford puts one through to Eunice Ing, comes wide near sideline to find Long. Back to Hammond. And Ford. Quick fakes, trying to create holes in the defense.
The HMC zone doing really well to shut down any of that downfield movement, meaning that the handlers are passing between themselves, using patience, finding gaps through. Oh, and a wide look to the near sideline, but unfortunately just touching the ground, meaning that HMC get another shot here to put a point on the board. And their players streaking deep, but it's not coming. Finding Sanders on the near sideline.
McFarlane threading one through to Louis. Back to Leach. Currently unmarked. He's got all the time in his world before Rutan puts the stall count on. Louis gets the disc far sideline, marked by Logan, puts one high and up around to Medic. Back around to Becca Booth.
Pointing to where she wants the disc.
Textbook quarterbacking. Lowe gets it on a reset. Back around to Leach for a quick give and go. McFarlane near sideline. Sanders. McFarlane wants it. He's got it. HMC hustle back within 6. That is exactly what the side from Canterbury wanted to see. Old Boys still only 1 point away from victory. While the gap in the door to victory is narrow, the door itself is not yet closed. It might take the rest of the day, but HMC Hustle are willing to sit out here and work for every single point. And with that intensity, with the pressure that they put on, a timeout has been called, looks like, by the Old Boys. Probably to call a specific line, something that they know they can really put the pressure on for what they need to be the final point of this game. HMC Hustle going back the other way, wanting to put on as much strong defense as they can to generate those turns and keep those conversions coming. But we will be back after this timeout with the thrilling conclusion to the third round in our stream coverage for the 2022 Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships in New Zealand.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. ULTI.TV.
And we are back after HMC. First to break the timeout. They don't want to keep that momentum stopped at all. They want to get right back into it. They're feeling fired up. They want those breaks to keep coming. Old Boys need a little bit more patience, a little bit more calm.
HMC doing really well here, keeping the intensity. You know, it gets really hard when maybe the point gap is that big to just kind of give up, hang your heads, call it a day. But HMC have done really, really well to keep bringing that intensity, making Old Boys really work for this last point.
Clark with the disc to start off the defense. Huge rip down the far sideline, touches down with a lot of roll. Tan, Ford, Hammond.
Looks like a little bit of maybe a handler ISO, meaning that the three handlers are trying to keep it between themselves to keep it alive. Doing really well to use patience. Slowly chipping away.
But making sure that they're keeping the downfielders moving so that the defense don't get a little bit lazy and start to sneak in and really pressure those handler players. Rutan with a bit of a gainer. Works back towards Hammond. Through the zone to Rutan. Ella Lamb has the disc, looks back, finds Hammond again. Tan an option on the far sideline.
HMC Junk doing really well to contain these throws and push Old Boys back towards their own end zone, making it really hard for them to gain any yards.
Absolutely tight defensive pressure has pushed the offensive side back across the halfway line, although they've managed to chip it back now with Lamb on the far sideline looking back for forward. Back to Lamb. Logan available as an option, but the defense is a bit tight. Has to go through to forward. Back to Rutan. Having no issue getting separation from his defense. Crashing through that cup with a lot of aggression. Same again. Rutan to Jordan Tan. This could be it. Over the top. Ella Lamb with the sky. What a point. What a game. That is going to be it for Old Boys against Hustle. Old Boys 15, HMC Hustle 8. What a beautiful way to finish a fantastic game. My name is Blair Monroe.
And I'm Becky Varr.
And this is the conclusion of the third game in our stream coverage for the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here at Bob Dean's Field in sunny Christchurch. Proudly supported by the team at ULTI.TV. Head on over to patreon.com/ULTI.TV if you like what you see and you want to help us bring you the very best in ultimate coverage. But we will be back with you very soon.
ULTI.TV